Recently, a student music producer of mine sent me one of his songs for feedback, and this is what he sent me. Nice. Alright, we got some energy. So he sent me a list of questions, but ultimately thinks his song is bloated and messy, and would like tips on how to professionally fine-tune and achieve that big, clean sound. Well, there's a lot to fix here, but I think he has a great foundation for what could be a great piece of music. And I think a video like this is necessary to show you exactly what I would do to fix this song up and make it sound nice. So, let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing that should hit me when this drop comes in is the bass. His bass sounds big, but it's missing that clarity. Also, if we look at it under an imager, his sub bass is very wide. You want to use a narrow bass because it'll act as a better anchor for the song, and it'll make the song sound infinitely bigger. Let's clean it up. His bass has two layers, a sub bass and a high bass. I'm just going to delete the sub bass. The remaining sound we have can be a great bass sound that we don't have to layer. The only issue is if we go into the effects tab, there's some reverb on it. We do not want reverb on the sound that we're going to use for sub bass. If we look at this bass under an equalizer, look at where the strongest frequencies of this bass are hitting. They're all hitting above 100 Hertz. We want our bass to be sitting in an octave where the strongest frequencies are around 40 to 80 Hertz. Look at that. When my student plays this song in the car now, this bass is going to sound like heaven. So now we're going to compare my cleaned up bass compared to his original bass. Here's his original bass. And here's my bass. So now our bass will act as a crystal clear foundation for the rest of the drop. Once I get the bass right, I like to check it against the drums. Looks like on his kick he has some aggressive EQing. We're just going to undo that. I would highly recommend picking a kick that you don't have to EQ as aggressively, and to just find a kick that you could get away with more mild adjustments, like this. I'm guessing he doesn't like the high end in the kick, so we could just dampen it a little bit. I do, however, think a wide open kick like this is more suitable for this style track. He's making a high energy progressive house track in the style of John Summit. So you're going to want a kick that hits all of the frequency ranges so it matches the energy of that exciting progressive house sound. See how much energy that has already? It's that kind of relationship between the drums and bass that you're looking for, a really powerful, solid foundation for the rest of the song to sit on. Now when my student plays this song in the car or out of any speaker, it's going to sound so good. Let's look at his vocal melody. Okay, so this sound is a vocal chop with an LFO style tool called ShaperBox 3. The only issue with this stutter melody is that it's not in rhythm with the rest of the song. If we listen to the bass with the vocal, they're both independent of each other. We want this vocal to sound like it's glued to that bass, and we could do that by matching the rhythms. So it looks like he's LFOing by frequency. We're going to change this to match the speed of the bass. There's still a weird timing issue here. Once you find the matching rhythm with an LFO, everything just clicks. The other issue I have with this vocal is that its note changes are on awkward parts of the grid. So I'm going to take this note and just stretch it. Also, I just spent some time adding these chops here to every phrase. Now if I turn on the metronome, we can hear how the pitch changes are more on grid. The pitch changes like that are so important when you're building chop melodies. And finally, I'm going to use OTT to bring out the human hiss in her voice. Now listen to the vocal with the bass. So now that the rhythms are matched up, we get that effect like they're glued together. But keep in mind, this doesn't mean that every time you have an instrument, you have to match the rhythm to all the other instruments. Listen to how big that is. That's huge. Whenever you match the rhythm of two big instruments like the bass and lead, you can get a really tight glue effect, like we just heard right there. Alright, let's work these chords in. He has two chord layers. Both layers sound the same, so I'm going to delete one of them and just make the remaining one really good. You never want to layer your instruments with identical layers that aren't adding anything to the song, because then they end up just taking up space in the mix, and that can result in reduced loudness. Also, he has his name on every track, and that is awesome. As for the remaining chords, they really don't need much. They're voiced well and they sound good in the song. However, they are ducking quite aggressively, and I think that it would be nice to have more subtle chords that aren't ducking as much. Also, we want the chords to be that glue between the vocal and the bass, so we can help focus them into that midsection. By just reducing some of the frequencies on the high end and low end to make them more of a mid-heavy instrument. Let's check out this stab. Now I know what he was trying to make was the sound that John Summit used in Go Back. Listen to that big stab sound. We can make something way cooler. So he's got the general idea of it, but what I'm going to do is overlap these notes so that the bottoms come up under these top notes. I'm going to take these top notes and extend them and make them hit thirds instead of just octaves. Okay, so he has this sound in Serum 2. I'm going to turn this filter on right here, and we're going to make a modulated sound by taking the envelope 2 and just drag and dropping it over top of this cutoff knob. And we're going to do some enveloping here. And then we're going to make it whip up to the top note. Check this out. We're going to click mono here and give some porta time. Isn't that nice? Amazing. I love this. Now we could leave it like this, but I think there are two more things we can do to make this drop really sound professional. The first one is to add another synthesizer. Keep your default sound like this, but go to envelope 1 and make it really short, like really stubby. And then add some unison to it. Make another oscillator, but this time make it a square. Add a bunch of reverb and delay to it. And then just freestyle some 16th notes, or in other words, notes that are 1/16 the size of one bar. So they sound like this. And they conveniently match the rhythm of our bass. John Summit does these type of atmospheric counter melodies all the time, and they're really easy to pull off. See, it's like you almost can't make a wrong move. And then the very last thing you have to do in pursuit of professionalism and a big professional sound is you have to fill the drums up. His drums have 2 layers, and that's just not going to cut it. Drums add energy. They make the song sound professional. Okay, so I've added some hi-hat layers that sound like this. Anytime you can match the speed of your bass and your lead with hi-hats, it just makes the song sound so powerful. Okay, so I'm gonna mix this down a bit, make it sound nice and polished, and then we'll play it back from the verse and see what we got. Okay, so I just mixed this down to stand up to John Summit's Go Back. Let's go ahead and check it real quick. Here's John Summit's song. And here's ours. His stab has more power. We'll play this back from the verse. Hear those little plucks? Nice. This is energy. Alright. If you would like to learn how to make your own timeless music like this song right here, I can coach you one-on-one and teach you how to do that. Check out my links below, and I will see you in the next video lesson.